Good day, everyone. I am here to report to you about the Philippines a century hence of Jose Rizal. Now, let me tackle to you what is the Philippines a century hence. Originally, the Philippines a century hence is known as Filipinas dentro de 100 años, which is it is a social political essay written by Jose Rizal to forecast the future of the country within 100 years. It was realized between September 30, October 31, December 15, 1889, and February 15, 1890. In the articles, Rizal estimated the future of the Philippines in the span of 100 years and foretold the catastrophic end of Spanish rule in Asia. Forecasting the future of the Philippines within 100 years, the essay reflected Rizal's feeling that it was time to remind Spain that the circumstances that ushered in the French Revolution could have a telling effect for her in the Philippines. Collectively, this essay supplements Rizal's two great novels, The No Limitang Hero and its sequel, El Filibusterismo. The essay also talks about the glorious past of the Philippines, recounted the deterioration of the economy, and exposed the process of the natives suffering under the cruel Spanish rule. In the essay, he cautioned Spain as regards the imminent downfall of its domination. Part of the purpose in writing the essay was to awaken the minds and the heart of the Filipinos concerning the oppression of the Spaniards and encouraging them to fight for their right. This essay, published in La Solidaridad, starts by analyzing the various causes of the miseries suffered by the Filipino people. First, Spain's implementation of its military policies. Because of such loss, the Philippine population decreased dramatically. Poverty became more rampant than ever, and farmlands were left to wither. The family, as a unit of a society, was neglected, and overall, every aspect of the life of the Filipinos was retarded. Second, deterioration and disappearance of Filipino indigenous culture. When Spain came with sword and cross, it began the gradual destruction of the native Philippine culture. Because of this, the Filipinos started losing confidence in their past and their heritage, became doubtful of their present lifestyle, and eventually lost hope in the future and the preservation of their race. Lastly, the third one, passivity and submissiveness to the Spanish colonizer. One of the most powerful forces that influenced a culture of silence among the natives were the Spanish riot. Because of the use of force, the Filipinos learned to submit themselves to the will of the foreigners. Next one is, we have these kind of questions. First, will the Philippine Islands continue to be a Spanish colony? If so, what kind of colony? Second, will they become a province of Spain, with or without autonomy? Third, and to reach this stage, what sacrifices will have to be made? And lastly, will they be separated from the mother country to live independently, to fall into the hands of other nations, or to ally themselves with neighboring powers? The question then arises as to what had awakened the hearts and opened the minds of the Filipino people with regards to their plight. Eventually, the native realized that such oppression in their society by foreign colonizer must no longer be tolerated. One question Rizal raises in this essay is whether or not Spain can indeed prevent the progress of the Philippines. Number 1. keeping the people uneducated and ignorant had failed. National consciousness had still awakened, and great Filipino minds still emerged from the rubble. Number 2. Giving people the impoverished also came to no avail. On the contrary, living a life of eternal destitution allowed the Filipinos to act on the desire for a change in their way of life. They began to explore other horizons through which they could move towards progress. Number 3. Exterminating the people as an alternative to hindering progress did not work either. The Filipino race was able to survive Ami's war and famine, and became even more numerous after such catastrophes. To wipe out the nation altogether would require the sacrifice of thousands of Spanish soldiers, and this war was something Spain would not allow. Rizal thus concluded that Spain, therefore, had no means to stop the progress of the country. What she needs to do is to change her colonial policies so that they are in keeping with the needs of the Philippine society and to the rising nationalism of the people. This essay presents a radical prophecy of Rizal of how the Philippines would be through the century. Rizal presented a clear idea of how our motherland will end up centuries later, proposing that our country will end up in either of the three ways. 1. That the Philippines will remain to be a colony of Spain but will be in good terms with its captors. 2. That the Philippines will try to cut the ties of our motherland from its captor through violent means. 3. And lastly, that we will be colonized by another country. What Rizal had envisioned in his essay came true. In 1898, the Americans wrestled with Spain to win the Philippines and eventually took over the country. Theirs was a reign of democracy and liberty. 5 decades after Rizal's death, the Philippines gained her long-awaited independence. This was in fulfillment of what he had written in his essay. History does not record in its annals any lasting domination by one people over another, of different races, of diverse usages and customs, of opposite and divergent ideas. One of the two had to yield and succumb. And that's all for my report. So, let's wait for the part 2 and part 3. Thank you!